Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the full moon and the moon in general and what it represents. So I'm going to get into it because this is a really big subject and one that I have personally studied or, had downloads about. And what I've learned on my own personal journey on the journey of coming into union and really healing, doing polarity work, and all of that. So today is a full moon in Leo, and what that really means is feminine healing is going to happen. And what that means is a lot of these feminine disempowerment blocks or wounds will be highlighted through the moon's energy. And the moon is really there to bring up all of these wounds and these disempowerment blocks within us and really amplify them. So on this journey of ascension, we are really utilizing the moon's energy, and we're also utilizing the sun's energy. So we are really becoming solar beings. We are not lunar beings, we're actually solar beings. The reason for that is because the sun is very much about life, right? So it's like that light energy. And so the light energy that's coming on the planet is coming from the sun. And so we're receiving these codes, and they are activating our DNA and expanding our consciousness and really purging all of these lower energies on the planet. So that's happening with the sun. So we're utilizing the sun's energy, but we're also utilizing the moon's energy. The moon's energy is very much helping us with our divine feminine healing and healing our distorted feminine. And we are realigning that. So when we're going through this journey, we're really doing the polarity work. And polarity work is a very key part of this journey. And so we're healing the masculine energy, we're healing the feminine energy. So when we start to do polarity work, we're really focused on those energies within us. So we're healing the distorted aspects of ourselves with those energies, and we are rebalancing everything and healing back to the balance so that these energies can come into the one, can merge, can have that alchemical marriage. That's what we're trying to attain. So when we're working through the energy healing in terms of our polarities, we are really working on healing the masculine and the feminine. And so when we're healing the feminine, this is really where the moon energy comes in. And the moon energy is now really helping us. For a lot of you, you're going to feel that connection to the moon, and it's actually going to help you with the feminine wounds and feminine distorted energies that you hold. So when you notice on your journey, what I've noticed on my own personal journey when I started my feminine healing is that I began to really be connected to the moon. I really had a strong connection to the moon. And that was, felt throughout some time on my journey. I really felt the connection. I felt like the moon was helping me. I was utilizing the moon's energy to help me heal my feminine and to really connect more deeper with my feminine energy. The moon is going to highlight all of those disempowerment blocks that we still hold within us that have to come forward for us to heal. So those are the energies that are the distorted feminine, which are represented by the moon, because the moon is a representation of the lunar women. What does lunar women mean? It's the lunar woman, the distorted women, the distorted feminine energy, the wounded feminine energy. The moon plays a big effect on our emotional body and has been used to really affect our emotional state. And so this is part of how, the emotions were manipulated on the planet as well. And the moon has been utilized for that. So I do not feel that the moon is relevant to our ascension, because we need the energy of the moonlight to process all of these lower densities and our distorted feminine, which are going to be highlighted. However, we're no longer going to need that energy once we have processed the dark feminine energy within us, and then we release that and we come to more of that neutrality, and we don't need to utilize the moon's energy anymore. So this is what my own process has been like. So I'm talking from my own experience of the moon and how I was utilizing the moon's energy for my journey and what the moon represents. And I am not saying that it's all bad, but I do believe there is negative energies associated with the moon. And I don't like to say that the moon is a reflection of the divine feminine. I don't see it that way. I don't see that I don't see the moon being that representation of the divine feminine, for the reason that it actually is a representation of the dark feminine energy that has been ruling the planet. So what we have is the moon that is influencing that energy. So once you stop kind of having those energies within you, once you release that more, you're not going to be affected so much by the moon energy at all. So for me, like I said, on my journey, I was very much connected to the moon. I was connected to the moon cycles and all of that. Now I don't have any connection to the moon whatsoever. I don't feel any resonance with the moon. I don't even feel its effect on me anymore, because I don't have those energies to clear within me anymore that are influenced by the moon, which is the dark feminine or distorted feminine. So those distorted aspects will be amplified with the moon cycles, with the moon energy. And those are the energies that we are here to clear. We're really working on coming back to our divine feminine, which is really the solar woman. And that's really how I see it. I know that there is, in the spiritual community, they say that the moon represents the women or the feminine, and the masculine is represented by the sun. Yes, that is true in a sense, but the moon is really representation of the dark feminine, the distorted feminine energy, rather than the divine feminine. And so that's how I see it. And I see it as it is helping us with our ascension, but it's only helping us to a certain point, and until we stop feeling its effects on our emotional body. So I hope that makes sense, because I do not feel that we need to align to the moon or, all of those things. Like, we don't need to worship the moon. We don't need to do any of that. The moon is just a piece of rock that reflects the sun's energy. We don't need to worship that. We don't need to have all these rituals and things like that. You can do rituals whenever you feel guided to do rituals or anything like that. You don't need to do it specifically on moon cycles, or you don't need to manifest on moon cycles. You can do manifestation anytime. So there's a lot of stuff in the spiritual community where they do all these weird things, and I personally don't believe in that. That is just my opinion or my higher guidance, I would say, not even opinion. And so you can use your own discernment or follow your own intuition as you feel. I do not, I'm not trying to tell you what to do or not to do. This is just from my own personal experience on my own journey of coming into the union and going through the union process, and what I have learned on my journey of healing my polarities, healing my feminine, healing my masculine, and how the moon is helping us, and how the moon is also, a representation of the dark feminine. So we are using, like I said, the solar light now to activate our codes, and we're also using the moon's energy to heal our distorted feminine. So it does have a purpose in our ascension. It has a purpose to play in our ascension. However, like I said, there comes a point where you don't need to utilize the moon's energy anymore. You don't need the connection with the moon anymore. You don't need to worship the moon anymore. In a sense, you stop having that connection because you released a lot of those distorted aspects. You've healed your wounded feminine. So we stop identifying with the moon so much, and we stop worshiping it or feeling like, it is, part of what we need to align to as women, or sync up our cycles with the moon. And yes, that does happen, where your cycle will be synced up with the moon for a while. The reason for that is to do with lots to do with the magnetic fields and the gravitational things. It's very scientific. I don't want to get into it, but there's a lot of realignments happening on the planet in general, with the realignments in terms of the magnetic poles and everything. So that is affecting all of this, and it affects your physical body. And it's to align with the moon cycles. There isn't really a point. Like, we don't need to do that. And I certainly don't have that need or connection or anything like that. My body is the tuning fork, and I don't need to be influenced by anything than my higher self and source connection. I don't need to be influenced by any kind of rocks floating in the mid-air. I don't really feel that is something that is really part of this, really this process. And I personally don't see it that way, even though there is a lot of spiritual knowledge online about the moon, and the moon, really us being connected to it as women. And that is because we're connected to it, because it actually is connected to our distorted aspects within ourselves. So what I want to talk about as well is I want to talk about what the moon will highlight, and what the wounded feminine aspects are, and what those distorted aspects are going to be, and what you may feel. So you may feel on the moon cycles, full moon or new moon, that the energy is very powerful, that it is influencing your emotional body, that it is actually highlighting a lot of these shadow aspects within you to do with your feminine energy. And so these are shadow aspects to do with codependency patterns, self-worth issues, anything to do with self-love, self-worth, worthiness. You could feel abandonment wounds, you could feel rejection wounds, you could feel anything to do with the wounded feminine aspects will be surfacing during the moon cycles, moon phases. And they will be, it's very much to do with the toxic feminine aspects within yourself. And you can start to notice that. You can start to track that. You can start to follow your emotions, because your emotions are your guidance, is what's telling you what's happening in your energetic body, in your energetic field. So when you have all of these things coming up all of a sudden, this is still energy within you that you haven't processed, and this will be highlighted to you during the moon phases, and especially during the full moon or new moon. So you have to follow your own inner guidance, because I don't get influenced by the moon anymore. Like I said, I don't have that emotional body that is being influenced by the moon anymore. So as you go through this journey, you will have all these things coming forward in the moon, through the moon energy. And so this is very, very important for you to understand about yourself and to understand where all of these emotions that are, lower emotions are coming from. And they are coming from that wounded aspect, that distorted feminine, which is what we're releasing, which is what we're healing on this journey. And we're really working through all of those blocks and all of those lower emotions. It's very important for the divine feminine to really go deep into this and heal and release all of these disempowerment blocks to do with her worthiness, with rejection, with abandonment, with, perfectionism, with codependency, and victim mentality, all of these toxic feminine traits, even just like comparison with other women, because the feminine energy has been so distorted, so there's been a lot of separation between the feminine or between women in general in our society. So women are very competitive with each other, very toxic energies. And so these are all these toxic energies between the feminine energy that is really kind of coming forward as well during this process. And you're going to see that within yourself really strongly. So all of that has to come out and purge during these moon cycles. And, the more you release that, the more you're going to start to feel more in your power, and you're not going to be influenced by, all these distorted feminine aspects. And, this is the main thing here. This is why the feminine is not in her power, because she's still influenced by, the moon's distorted energies and the distortion in general with the feminine. And these wounded aspects within ourselves. So we're healing a lot of these things through the moon. And the moon and this aspect of codependency will come up, which is seeking validation from others, people pleasing. All of this is going to come up and forward when you're healing your feminine. And so that is what's being highlighted right now. And you could be feeling all of that. And the reason you're feeling it is because it's coming up for deep inner transmutation. Anything that's coming up right now is coming up for deep inner transmutation and releasing. So that is what we're doing, and that's how the moon cycles are helping us through our journey and how we're coming back to that divine feminine aspect. And so that's all I wanted to cover for today. I send you lots of love and healing energy, and I'll speak to you in the next one.